Every year, when the lights make their appearance and the trees are brought in, ornaments strung along, I wonder who among me is sitting in the pews, fingers entwined with grief, whose lips are singing joy to the world and proclaiming how the babe in the manger had come to make all things right, even as tears sting the corner of their eyes. I don't have to look very far to see joy plastered on billboards and strung up on signs over doorways. Everywhere my eyes look, I see the word. It brings to mind deep belly laughs with friends, or what sprung up in my chest when I would throw the first snowball this season in elementary school. Those moments where, if only for a second, all is right in the world. It doesn't take much to see that all is not right in the world around us. This season is a time where emotions are heightened and the reality of the world we live in is forced to the forefront. There are times we spend gathered with family and all is well, but how many of us will face strife at our tables this year? Sickness might mean that this year looks different from others, or may never look the same again. We may greet new little bundles of joy spending their first Christmas with us, even while we grieve the loss of faces here in Christmas past. So how are we to find joy, true joy, in this season? I want to be clear. I'm not here to tell you to slap a band-aid of optimism on your face and smile. Not only do I think that it's not helpful, but I think a strong case could be made that it's an anti-biblical way to face the sorrow around us. Sorrow, true sorrow and pain, are very much a part of our experience, and Christ would never tell you to ignore or write off what he came to rescue us from. Because, my friends, I'll ruin the ending now. He has indeed come to rescue us from the brokenness we feel around us. And we don't have to deny the elephant sin has left in the room, stepping in front of the joy of the season. Because as believers, our joy is never rooted in what we see before us with our eyes, but in what we know to be the eternal truth of who God is and his redemptive work in the world around us. I think one of the most beautiful examples of this is found right in the Christmas story. In Mary's response, the recognition of the Savior she carried in her womb and what it meant for all mankind. In Luke 1:46 through 55, Mary's response to God's work is joy. She bursts into joy, offering up a prayer of joy. She sees a glimpse, a small flicker of the light of all God is doing, and it illuminates so much more. She sees that there are people who are hungry, that the rulers trample on the lowly, the rich neglect the care of the poor. The world is unjust and broken. It seems out of place at first glance that these very earthly problems are what she focuses on. After all, these are topics that most of us probably try to avoid discussing at the holidays. But Mary draws our attention to these things and the way that they will be made right. She rejoices in God, her Savior, and tells us exactly why she is rejoicing, because it will not always be this way. He is making all things right. That is the source of our joy as believers. Whether this season is one where your heart is singing or you are feeling the weight of a world fractured by sin, our hearts can be strengthened and rejoice because it is not the end of the story. Tov. That's the word God used when he created the world. He called it the creation he had made good and saw all that it could become. I think the Christian joy mirrors this in many ways. We see the work he has done, and we anticipate all that he is going to do. And I am quite convinced that all the joy we could ever feel now is but a drop in the bucket. St. Francis is credited with saying, "All the darkness in the world cannot extinguish the light of a single candle." Let your joy, Your belief in who God is and what He will do be the light that you hold against the darkness of the world this Advent.